Recording in progress.
Hello. Noswaith da yn cynghorydd Mike Priestley ydw i, fi ydy cadeirydd pwllgor trosolwg a craffu
Good evening, I'm Councillor Mike Priestley. I'm chair of the Economy and Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee.
Streamed and recorded and will be available for viewing after the meeting. Should the live stream fail, the meeting will continue and a recording will be available through the Council's website following the conclusion of this meeting. Can I remind members that translation facilities are available and for those attending on Zoom to choose the language of your choice. For those wishing to speak in the chamber, please raise your hand. For those on the Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We will alternate between speakers in the chamber and on Zoom. For those attending remotely, please note that those in the chamber will unable to see or use the chat facility. Committee members who are attending remotely are required to leave their camera on throughout the debate and when voting in order to maintain the integrity of the decision-making process. If you do need to leave the meeting temporarily, pop a message in the chat function so the Democratic Service Officer is aware and then let them know on your return. I expect everyone to present and participating in this meeting to conduct themselves appropriately and respectful to each other. That applies to members, officers, and anyone in the public gallery. So with that said, I'd like to start the meeting by item 1, which is apologies for absence.
Just one apology from Councillor Carol Baird.
Item 2, declarations of interest, Code of Local Government. Councillor Louise.
Was a question really to the monitoring officer. Obviously, in the discussion around toilets, I'll be wearing my Llandudno Town Council hat as well. Do I need to declare that as a personal interest?
Well, it's most a personal interest, yeah. So you can declare it as a personal interest. It wouldn't be prejudicial because it's an exemption in the court.
Okay, so there's a lot of town councillors here tonight. So
shall we just
collectively do it on that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to confirm, Chair, what I'm saying now, we'll make a note of all the town councillors.
Okay. Any other declarations?
I was going to declare a non-prejudicial interest in the in the same item.
Okay.
Chair.
Thank you very much. Item 3, urgent matters.
No urgent matters, Chair.
Item 4, the minutes, and this is to approve and sign as a correct record the minutes of the previous meeting. That was on the 11th of July, pages 4 to 8, and on the 27th of July, pages 9 to 14. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes, please? Thank you. I'll take Alan as proposer and Sam as seconding, please. All those in favour? Anyone against? No abstentions. Thank you very much. Item 5 is the minutes from the North Wales Police and Crime Panel on the 21st of June, and these are for information only, pages 15 to 18. Do I have a proposer and a seconder again for these minutes? I'll take Councillor Louise as proposer and Councillor Tom as seconding. All those in favour? Okay, anyone against? Any abstentions? That's fine. Again, item 6 now is the minutes of the local area forums, and these again for information only. Have I got anybody from the local area forum East to present them minutes?
Yes, Chair. Councillor Michael, Chair of East Forum. So I'd just like to present these as an accurate record of the meeting there. Like to thank the members of the forum, and we'll continue the good work and take it forward.
Thank you, Councillor Michael, and a seconder for that I've got Councillor Bernice. So thank you very much. All those in favour, can you please show your hands? Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Local area forum South, minutes on the 17th of the 7th to be presented by the chair or vice chair. So it's Cynhorydd Nia and Cynhorydd Dilwyn. You can see these on pages 22 to 24. So that's the local area forum south. Cynhoryd Nia?
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn, Gadeirydd.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. I'm happy to present these the minutes of this meeting of the South Area Forum. For accuracy, and we had a very good discussion on various things, so I'm happy to present them. Thank you.
Seconder? Can I have a seconder for the, just to, Councillor Sam, thank you very much. All those in favour? Anyone against? Abstentions? That's noted. Thank you very much. Local Area Forum North. I have had an email off Councillor Harry. I'm not sure if he's made it or not. And I know we've had apologies from Councillor Beard. Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you, Louise.
I'd like to propose the minutes for the North Area Forum, which you can see clearly in front of you, and obviously being funded now, it includes a discussion about goats. So I'd like to propose their correct record.
Okay, a seconder. Mandy, Councillor Mandy, thank you very much. All those in favour? Anyone against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. And the last one with the Local Area Forum, that's West, and the minutes to be presented by the Chair or Vice Chair, so it's Councillor Sharon or Anne McCaffrey. Have we got Councillor Anne?
I don't think Councillor Sharon's on the call, so I'm happy to present them to you as an accurate record. I'm not a member of the committee, so I can't propose them. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, so any Councillor Tom proposing, Councillor Bernice seconding. So all those in favour? Anyone against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. That's that. So that takes us on to item 7, which is to review the forward work programmes. Yep. Dawn? There's nothing on that. Okay, so. Oh, I do apologise. Yeah, questions to cabinet members, and we've got no questions on cabinet members. So 7. Yeah. So we're on to that. Yeah, that's missed out on mine. Questions to cabinet members, none. Thank you very much. And then what I'm going to do now, I can see there's interest in the public gallery. So what I'm going to do is forward work programme. There's nothing on the forward work programme, Dawn.
Sorry, the only change I've got, Chair, is to advise you that the empty home strategy has been deferred from October to January, and that's the only update I have, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dawn. Cabinet item 8, no questions to cabinet members. Yeah, forward work programs. I'm racing ahead here because I want to get this debate going. I do apologise. Yeah, so can I have a proposer and a seconder for the forward work programme? Sorry, who's that? Councillor Simon.
Yeah, sir. Chair. I wondered if there anywhere on the forward work programme any kind of report on the progress with active travel schemes, or is that somebody else? It should be ERF.
Yeah, we've got obviously the Colwyn Bay active travel that will be coming back, won't it? You considered that a few weeks ago.
I'm thinking broader.
Simon, I'll have a conversation outside of the meeting. It may be that you may need to fill a scrutiny topic form in for that.
Thank you.
I can send you that if it's if it's something specific that you need.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Simon. So I need a proposer for the forward work programme, please, and a second. Councillor Mandy proposing. Second, please. Simon online. Thank you very much. All those in favour? All those any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. That's carried. Slowing down a little bit now because I was racing ahead with the area forum, so I do apologise. Item 8, we've discussed questions to cabinet members. There are no questions to cabinet members. And then I want to just change the agenda a little bit, and we will look at the update on the public convenience strategy. So I'm gonna do that item first, and I apologise, Councillor Chris. You'll be second on the agenda with your item. So this is item 10, which is to consider a report by the Head of Environment, Roads and Facilities on the following matter, and that's the update on the delivery of the toilet strategy. Before I bring in Councillor Gronwy, the Speaker, I apologise, can I just remind councillors that this report is to provide an update on progress of the strategy only, and not an opportunity to discuss the notice of motion, which is going to be considered by council tomorrow. The notice of motion is specifically requesting that the Chief Executive provides a report to Finance and Resources Overview and Scrutiny Committee, so it will be preemptive to debate such issues tonight. And that's obviously the motion tomorrow at council. So I have a speaker on this item, and that is Grace O'More. Grace, would you like to come down? So welcome. So you'll have 3 minutes to deliver your speech, and Jane to the right of you will give you a 30-second reminder. Okay, over to you.
Which button? Can you hear me now? Right. Can the 3 minutes start now? Thank you.
Allow that for you.
So I'm here to defend the Great Orme in Llandudno and people's right to walk in it and on it for as long as they wish. It's a country park. I'm also here to put a word in for Rhos-on-Sea, which is a big footstep away. And I'm also here to acknowledge people there whose area I do not know. The Great Orme there are 10 million visitors to Llandudno each year. There are 600,000 visits per year acknowledged in 2002 on Mostyn Estates website. That number has been growing since. In the last 2 years, I've witnessed on the hill above St. Tudnos, since we got the Booking.com award, the TripAdvisor award, that huge numbers of international tourists, many of them from the Asian subcontinent, are coming to that hill in large numbers. So this number's growing. I'm aware that it's an area of special scientific interest. I'm aware that it's lime pavement, the most ancient land on earth, I understand. I'm aware that even seasoned conservationists cannot dig and bury feces on that orme. And I'm aware that fecal matter on a landscape is more dangerous on a hill because it travels underground in the water systems and overground in the rain. Hello, typhoid and cholera, if we don't wake up. So I know that there's a £20 million budget cut, and I know that most austerities have an alternative, even deprivation of food you can beg. I do not know any alternative to a human being desperate to go to the toilet, but to go. So I think that Llandudno being the end of the road, there's only sea all around us. We're all at sea here if we don't just send this back. If we don't have the courage to say no, we can find a way forward. This axe must not fall. It must not fall in Rhos-on-Sea either, where millions of pounds has been invested and vast numbers of people come in good weather. I mean, those toilets are crucial. And I think every toilet in a country area is vital. Finally, I plead that you take the eagle's eye view, whatever political disagreements there have been toing and froing in the past, that everybody takes the eagle's eye view here, wakes up. Do not drop the axe on public conveniences, please. Let this be the start of something big in the whole of the UK, because this is happening and it's dreadful. And I ask for our leaders to support us and not be disconnected from us, or there will be trouble for all of us.
Can I say thank you very much, Grace, for those words. So we will go into the report now, and basically this report will be introduced by Councillor Gromley Edwards, who's the Cabinet Member for the Environment, Roads, Facilities and Infrastructure. So Councillor Gromley will introduce, and then it'll be over to, is it going to be over to Geraint and Gary? Yeah. Okay. So Cynhorydd Gronwy.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Thank you, Mike. Yes, so this is the long-awaited update on the local tourist strategy. We were hoping to get this to about 6 months. Well, in following 6 months from when we announced the strategy back in November 2023. In the interim, we've had 2 elections, both Police and Crime Commissioner, and also the snap general election that was called by Rishi Sunak, which meant period of purdah, so we could not bring these reports to you any sooner, unfortunately. But in that period of time, we have gone out and consulted with town and community councils about the future of our toilets. And unfortunately, in the initial stages, we had a poor response from many town and community councils. Out of the 20, only 4 came along and offered to join the sponsorship scheme. Now, in Conway, we have around 45 toilets currently. Not all those have opened because of various issues with quality, with vandalism, and with the viability of those toilets. Now, during this period now, we've had consultation with town and community councils. As I say, 4 have come back and offered to be part of the sponsorship scheme, which is very encouraging. And since since that, we've also now had more approaches from interested groups as well as town and community councils in joining us on the journey of maintaining provision within the county. Now, whilst toilets are not a statutory function, but we aim to try and deliver services that are needed by the public wherever possible. So, as I said, the consultation has gone out. We've responded to it. We are working with those that have come back with us with a positive approach, and we're also talking to others that have come up with new ideas since then. A number of community councils and community groups have joined us now in looking at the future of the toilets in their area, and very positive, especially in rural areas where many of them have offered to take them on and work with us. It's unfortunate that 2 of the largest authorities in Conway, both Llandudno and Conway, chose not to join the sponsorship scheme. It was open to all, but despite the comments that I've seen that they believe toilets are crucial to a tourism area, they've chosen not to be part of the scheme, which is very disappointing, I feel. And I can see that coming forward in tomorrow's motion, where most of the people that signed that motion had the opportunity as town councillors to be part of that scheme. So can I go on? Yes. Can I go on, please?
No.
Can I go on? So, as you see, we've identified the list of toilets now. The ones that are, as members have seen the list, there are a whole list of ones that are part of the scheme. There are 4 also that are part of the community-run toilet scheme, Llangenyw, Llansan and Pemachno. Along with this, we have also been working with all our own public buildings, and all those will be available to the public going forward. So that is the current position. And as Miss Omo so rightly said, we all value toilets. I'm of an age, similar age to Miss Omo, about the need to have toilets. So I totally understand that. But at the end of the day, it's what we can afford with the budgets we have, and hopefully, working with the private sector and the community groups, we can continue to deliver toilets, because following the response, we now have we have 67 toilets that are available and will be available to the public, as compared to 62 that was previous. So it's not a bad news story. It's a very positive story going forward, and I look forward to continuing with the delivery of this strategy.
Okay, thank you, Gromley. I want to just, well, I've got to say this. I think financially, this has been part of the budget process.
Yep.
You know, that was agreed by council to get us where we are. I take on board there's some progress being made, Gromley, so that's welcome news. I'll hand over to Gary, the officer, and then Gary, if you could go through the report for us, and then I will open up for debate.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Okay, so as excuse me, as Councillor Gromley has said, we had the approval for the strategy to go through in November of last year. In that time, we've done our best to follow through with all the delivery plans, the actions that we've we've tried our best to follow through with all those actions that we've suggested we can do to try and get to some kind of reasonable service delivery, shall we say, following the budget cuts. Yes, we've been in communication with local town councils, and we are continuing to do so. That's the positive side of this. And as we say, our door remains open to that ongoing process. The enthusiasm I've had in the last few weeks in particular has been encouraging for me as an officer and with my team that tries to deliver these services. It's been evident to me that everybody cares, as Ms. Summer said earlier at the stand. Everybody wants to keep these, as do we. So I'm hopeful that what I can pass on to you in the next few minutes will reinforce that. So in total, we provided 3 options back in November for local town and community councils to look at, to try and either sponsor, look at the cleaning, or to transfer the facilities over. We were willing to assist with our technical abilities and our contact base, if you like, within the private sector to make that happen. And those offers with those that have taken on board still stands. In addition to that, the town council that were probably a little bit hesitant in the beginning or reluctant because of the uncertainty what that would mean to them have been in contact with me quite regularly. We have 3 or 4 separate lines of communication ongoing now on that, and I'm hoping that that will grow into something positive. I think that we compare reasonably well in terms of our partners in Wales, other authorities, Blaenau Gwent, Powys and Cardiff, for instance, as well as those in our immediate vicinity, which is Flintshire, Denbighshire, Gwynedd and Anglesey and Ysmore. We have tried to look at this across the board as to how do we deliver something that is unaffordable on the face of it, and look at alternative solutions to do that. The Blaenau Gwent, Powys and Cardiff models are very similar to the way that we're approaching this. So I see that we're hopefully in good company in the way we're doing this. In addition to the works with local town councils, I've also been successful in some SPF grant funding for works to toilets at Conway and at Betws-y-Coed. Those 2 are in the next stages of construction, so we hope that by this time next year we will have those facilities up and running as well. We've spoken to council officers, council managers for sites like Coed Pella Road offices, Glastir in Llanrwst, Llandudno Town Hall, etc., for use of their facilities. And I'm pleased to say that the appendix that has come with this report has been updated since it was issued, and we now have 21 sites that can be used as alternative sites to, which is heartening. That will include leisure centres and libraries. So I felt that was worth mentioning. The only ones that we've lost out on was 3. I won't go into details as to the reasons why, but I acknowledge and accept the reasons why we couldn't use those sites. So in terms of the rationale, we've looked at the proximity of viable toilets versus those on the council's own list, and in fact those on the community toilet scheme, which I'll get to shortly. This plan shows that in areas of high density or high visitation, we've got good coverage. There shouldn't be any reason to complain, I should say, for those areas, although I do acknowledge there are 2 sites that we do have some issues with at the moment. Doesn't mean to say that we're going to forget those sites. They're certainly on my agenda, high up on the agenda, to be able to look at alternatives in the future. So as I say, this consultation and ongoing process of looking for solutions hasn't stopped. It's an ongoing thing. And my team will work diligently to make sure that we do find suitable alternatives. Just popping back quickly to the community toilet scheme then, just by way of an explanation for those that may not know what that is. It's a system Conway Council have to provide funding to private businesses, cafes, etc., for use of their facilities within towns and local communities. It's a £500 fee per year for those businesses, and they basically make available their public conveniences for those that might want to use them in that area. We feel it's a reasonably generous offer for what it is. Some of the feedback says otherwise, but then the value for money is different for everybody, isn't it? And how a business runs, obviously, that impacts how they spend it as well. The take-up hasn't been as promising as we thought. We felt we would have a greater success than we have done. But like I said, it's an ongoing thing. It doesn't close down. And any businesses that are interested from even hearing this evening, we will be in discussion with them. To make it clear, we don't accept everybody. We have to be quite stringent in what we look for. Clearly, we're going to look for buildings and sites that are looked after well, if you like, and are safe to use, because some of those are the issues that we hear from complainants about our own toilets. So clearly, we need to be certain that that's protected. Essentially, the end game for me is to try to, as I've said, keep dialogue going with anybody and everyone within Conway's borders, if you like, where we can upgrade or facilitate better facilities for those that use them. In addition to that, we've looked for grants where we can to try and refurbish some of those that are failing. Sadly, the principal reason for this, and didn't want to end on a negative note, but it's down principally to the abuse that these facilities get. The remote sites where there is no personnel managing them, they are open targets to those that will damage this infrastructure. It's all taxpayers' money. I'm a taxpayer in Conway myself, and it pains me when I get the reports in from my team as to what's been happened. Clearly, we can't be everywhere. We can't have staff managing every door. That would just push the costs up even more. But the range and quality, if you like, of the vandalism that we see is becoming completely unaffordable. It's becoming a huge problem. So while CCTV cameras help in certain town areas, the remote sites don't have that luxury, and obviously we don't have the funding to try and improve on that. So principally through this issue of trying to safeguard these sites, because there are some sites as well that are not really fit for purpose in terms of some of the other uses that are made of them. We have to be very careful in those that we keep open and how we keep them open. So yeah, it's a challenge. You know, we admit that. We're up for it, and we certainly aren't closing the door on any options or any engagement, any consultation with anybody who wants to discuss those with me. My door, as I say, is always open. Essentially, I think that's where we're at. I feel we've got a good cross section of alternatives. I'd be willing to sort of bet that as we progress through now into next year, that we'll have far more than we thought we would this time last year. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's heartening to hear, Gary, that it's not just about that's it. I think it's fair to say that as an officer, I'm sorry, Grommy, I'm going to steal your thunder. You have to be thanked for the work that you've done. And the ideas you come up, it's obvious you're passionate about the portfolio, and looking at all the different options. So I want to put on record, my gratitude to the work you're doing. And as you say, you'll keep going and looking and striving to provide these facilities. I think some people, I mean, in a past life, if someone said to me, your budget's gone, I would have said, right, okay, then close them. But you haven't, and I think that needs to be noted. And I'm sorry, Gromwy, if I've taken your thunder there. But so Thank you very much, Gary. I will open up this for debate. I've got a number of speakers. I can remind you that this is an update on the policy, and I'm going to open up to Councillor Chris Hughes.
Thanks, Chair. This has been talked about since 2013 when Conway first started asking town and community councils to take on public toilets. There was a strong message back to Conway at that time if they were able to upgrade the condition of the toilets using funding, that then town and community councils might be willing to take them on. But in their previous state, it was very difficult. Certainly in towns like Colwyn Bay, that hasn't happened, other than for one public toilet on the promenade, which is we did an evaluation of what it would cost for the town council, because up until recently, the only option available and the only option being promoted by the council was for town councils to take on the toilets en bloc. The cost to the Bay of Colwyn Town Council would have been in excess of £100,000. That would have been a 35% increase in our precept, and is completely unrealistic. That was put to the council at the time. The alternative solutions didn't come out until later. Well, I think we got them as a town council at the very early this year, but by then the town council have obviously set their precept, most of them, because we have to give significant notice to the county council, who needs that information well in advance. So the Colwyn Bay Town Council chose not to increase its precept at all, and therefore there was no additional budget. But I would remind officers, because they seem to forget this, most of some of the large town councils already contribute a significant amount to this authority. Colwyn Bay gives Conway in excess of £100,000 a year for the running of services and facilities such as Theatre Colwyn and other things. So it's a huge amount of money that they already give to this council. But I just make the point that you've managed to find funding for betters, and you managed to find funding. I argued back in 2012-13 that if you were to put together, when you were doing the funding application for Section 1A of the Colwyn Bay waterfront, that the toilets at the Dingle in Colwyn Bay should have been upgraded as part of that. I remember sitting in meetings with Geraint, and he will recall telling me, no, you won't need that because there'll be public toilets in Porthavius. And lo and behold, the previous administration decided to give the public toilets in Porthavius to the concession holder within that building, within his lease. So we lost the public toilets there. And incidentally, we were told after the lease had been signed, so there was no consultation on that. But I'm sure Gareth will remember that. Geraint, sorry, I do apologise. But my concern is that, it has to, if there's a strategy, has to be realistic. You can't go out asking town and community councils like Colwyn Bay and Llandudno to increase their precept by 35% in order to deliver any service. We're complaining. This council is worried about increasing its precept by 10%. You're asking town and community councils to increase theirs by 35%. It's totally unrealistic. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chris. As I say, I've got a number of speakers. I'm going to go to Cynhoryd Nia next.
Thank you very much, Chair. I shall be speaking in Welsh, so I'll allow some time for those in the chamber to put on their headsets. So thank you very much, Gary, for the update. It is a big problem, the situation, isn't it? I appreciate the hard work that you are doing to try to get to grips with it. You have mentioned that there was some communications between the community councils and the council to try and find some kind of solution to keep some of these conveniences open. Llanrwst Town Council have been in touch with me this week that we were not notified that it was 10% of the running costs required. There has been some confusion clearly in the communication. Had they been aware of that 10% requirements, then they would have been very happy to discuss terms, but unfortunately they had been under the impression that the requirements was to fund the entire cost of running the conveyances. So I am happy to hear that Gary has said that the door remains open for discussion, so I assume that it is fine for me to go back to Llanrwst Town Council to tell them to keep on discussing with you the possibility of funding 10% of the cost of those conveniences. I shall continue. I've got another question in regards to the community toilet scheme. As a local councillor in Llanrwst, I am more than happy, and I know that Councillor Aaron would be as well, to discuss with businesses in Llanrwst, since I think this is a very good scheme, the community toilet scheme, that is. So I would be delighted if I could get some sort of a pamphlet or a information sheet that I could take around the businesses in Llanrwst. It's all very well to say go online to see. I'd like to have something for them to see what the terms and requirements are, and I would be happy then to go around town sharing those with businesses in Llanrwst. I think that would work very well. And thirdly, I'm sorry, I shall finish after this. According to the recommendation, the Watling Street toilets shall be closing permanently, and since the youth centre is on the same site in Llanrwst, I note that is not on the list as an option. Would those toilets be able to be used? That's just a question, something to think about. As public conveniences, I realise perhaps if there might be a problem when Ysgol Bro Gwydyr are using the centre. I'm not keen on the idea, and perhaps you have discounted this already, I'm not keen on the idea of using Llanrwst swimming pool for this purpose, because those toilets are not separate to the changing rooms, and I don't think it would be appropriate at all for people to be going to the changing rooms to use the toilets when people clearly are changing in there. So those are my 3 points. I shall stop speaking now. Thank you very much.
I will bring Gary in, but I'm just wondering, we have heard off the officer that the door's open and dialogue can and will continue. And I'm just looking at this meeting, if we're going to talk at length each time, whether it's worth councillors getting in touch with Gary if they've got specific issues with an area that, you know, or they've got ideas that can assist, that instead of airing it here tonight on this update on the document, on the strategy, I say, I just wonder if you could just consider that, please, councillors. Otherwise, we could be here till midnight. But as I say, so Gary, you wanted to respond.
Diolch yn fawr cyngor i ni. Da chi'n iawn? Mi nawn ni drafod.
Yes, you are right. We shall discuss the issues with Llanrwst, as you mentioned. We're also very happy to try and find some sort of a pamphlet for you to explain the process with community toilets. That's not a problem at all. And we have held some discussions with Councillor Aaron in regard to the leisure centre, and I agree there is a risk there, and we don't want to bring anyone to harm's way, and I'm happy to look into the youth centre. I'm not sure whether there has been any agreement with them so far. That's when we went directly to leisure, but I am happy to look at that again. That's not a problem.
Thank you very much. I do have a number of speakers. I also have a number of speakers that are part of this committee and those that are not part of the committee. So what I'm going to do, I will just alternate. So I will go to Councillor Anne, and then I'll go to a committee. I have got your names down, and then I'll go to a member of the committee. So, Councillor Anne online.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and I'll try to be brief as well, and also take your advice at the beginning of the meeting in terms of we've got a notice of motion for tomorrow. I mean, my query really is about the first action on the strategy here, which is on page 178, 3.3, and it's about exploring opportunities to work with town and community councils to keep toilets open. Now, on the preceding page, it says there's been little appetite, but doesn't actually give any detail as to which town councils are collaborating or not. My ward is Pemamauer, as you know, and Gary will confirm him and I have been in considerable communications as well as with the town council over these issues. So it did come as a bit of surprise, and I'm assuming, and I don't know if quite rightly, that we're one of the four mentioned here, because I'm struggling to reconcile the fact that the town council signed up for the ask when they were asked to, in terms of not just toilets, but libraries and all the other asks that we asked for support in terms of the budget. And yet, despite that there are toilets in Pemamauer, particularly the town centre main toilets, Fernbrook Road, that were just out of the blue, we were told were closing. So I'm just seeking clarification. Is Pemamauer's sign up to the ask being taken account of, or is it not being taken account of in terms of the four councils, four responses that I think that you're indicating? The other part I would make, I mean, and I think maybe this is a comms, in fact, definitely a comms issue. To my knowledge, there's been no comms with the town council, and I work really closely with them, about any public toilets deferring and defaulting to just operating on a seasonal basis, because in Pemamauer it's a double whammy. We've got your closing toilets that we thought we'd actually signed up to, and actually you're going into seasonal closures that was never discussed, as I understand it, with the town council. So just some clarity on that, Gary, because I know we're going to be talking more directly tomorrow about the motion. So just concerned. Obviously, I agree, I have to say, with Grace. I think it would be really shameful of us all if we were to see a 50% reduction in toilets this year, but that's for tomorrow. If you'd answer the questions, because I think the action on 3.3, I'm just questioning because it doesn't resonate with my lived experience here in Pemamauer.
Okay, I appreciate you being brief, Anne. So thank you for that. I didn't get the feeling that it was just about closing toilets. When I listened to the cabinet member and when I listened to the officer, I was listening and I was hearing that there are opportunities. So I think I don't really want to. I think it'd be unfair just to say this is all about just closing, when I've heard from the officer and the cabinet member that might not be the case. But Gary, you want to respond?
Just before Gary comes in, I mean, just to go back to you, Chair. In fairness to the public, who are obviously enraged, and indeed probably county councillors enraged as well, town councillors, I mean, the communication was, we're closing, we're only opening seasonally. So, that there's a disconnect between what's been written down here and what I think is a lived experience, is just the point that I'm making. And
thank you, Anne. And yeah, absolutely. And as you said, that'll be probably discussed tomorrow. So. Okay, do you want to come back, Gary?
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Anne, and agree with what you've said. We've had a couple of offline discussions as well about Pemamauer in particular. I think the bottom line for me is it's about trying to make an unpalatable decision affordable. It's a very difficult ask. I've said that we're happy to discuss any options that can maintain and reinvigorate, if you like, sites that perhaps have run down or have fallen into disrepair, whatever it might be. But I think we just have to be realistic how we do that and not overpromise. That said, you are right. There were opportunities perhaps that I missed in terms of discussions with you and your colleagues in the town council in Pemamauer a couple of weeks back. And as I said to you on offline a few days ago, yeah, more than happy to revisit that separately. I think we have got a meeting planned already on that sort of topic, so more than happy to keep that going with you and see where we can get to.
And I'm really pleased that we're keeping that dialogue open, because I think, you know, it behoves us all to work together on this. So thanks, Gary.
Yeah, thank you for that. I've got Councillor Louise next.
There's definitely a theme to the evening here. I could couch what Councillor Nia said and Councillor Anne and just input Llandudno Town Council. So it's the same issue that we're all encountering, is that I don't believe there is little appetite. And as I say, I could tell you my lived experience, a good phrase, that 25th of June, I had a meeting as chairman of Llandudno Town Council with our single point of contact at the Conway Business Centre, where we specifically asked for information relating to toilets, more specific information, which is what our town council asked for. They did not say no. And remember, there's 20 of us on the town council across every political spectrum. So I'm really delighted that us in our little political group have brought the discussion for tomorrow, where we can discuss those concerns. But to say there's little appetite, I think is a bit unfair. And as has been commented by Councillor Chris, it's just sort of moving the problem onto the town councils. Now it's clear that although there's opportunities to keep these toilets open, the sponsorship opportunity, the 10% is dead in the water. Is that the case because of the changes in the budgets? That's my question. The 10% option 1, is that not available? If we want them, we'd have to run them completely ourselves. And then the other question was, Goron, we mentioned 62 to 67. So there's 5 toilets that are now going to remain open. He didn't say which ones. So 2 questions, please.
I'll bring the officers in on
yes.
that. So Gary or Gary. Yeah. Okay.
The offer that was made in November. The offer that was made in November 2023 that went to town and community councils was very clear. It was a letter that was sent from the Director of Finance to all town and community councils. It identified 3 options. Some town and community councils have engaged with that letter. Some town and community councils have written back very clearly saying that they're not interested in any of the 3 options that were put forward. We have worked, our officers have worked very hard with those town and community councils that felt that they wanted to engage, and we have moved forward to a position where we have more public conveniences than we thought we would actually have. I must say that in the last 2 to 3 weeks since the announcements of closures have been put forward, we've had even more town and community councils and businesses that have come forward. So officers are working hard to improve on the facilities that are scheduled in this when the report was actually written. So I think it's a positive story, not a negative story. But I'm just I've heard from 3 members now that their town and community councils, it seems, didn't understand the offer that was put to them. I think the offer was very clear back in November 2023.
There was a question there about, does that offer still stand?
It's not. The simple answer is no. The funding that has been allocated is predicated on the amount of resource that's available. The resource has now been allocated. If we want to add to this, then we will have to do things that are more innovative. The problem with the 10% offer, simple maths, if there is no more money left, the budget has been spent and allocated. To offer town and community councils to come in now on a 10% in this year would mean that the council would have to find 90%, and the budget isn't there.
Okay, thank you for that, Geraint. I'm going to go to a member of the committee, and then I'm going to go to, so it's going to be Councillor Simon, and then followed by Councillor Carr. So Councillor Simon online, please.
Diolch yn fawr, Chairman. I think it's fairly staggering to any member of the general public that providing public toilets isn't a statutory responsibility of councils, and I think everybody will be completely amazed and disgusted that it isn't fundamental human need as any. Question on the actual budget on page 186. Was £460,000, which I may, is that budget the total budget for maintenance and cleaning and repairs to vandalism? That's what I'm wondering, because that works out at £10,000 per toilet per year, which is quite a staggering amount of money. Another question is, Chair, if that's okay, that we cannot get grants to upgrade and convert our existing public toilets to paid ones. I'm taking it that the paid ones do break even and cover their cleaning costs from the amount that's paid. I'm hoping that is the case, and quite staggered really that the Welsh Government will give us money for nice things to have, like active travel schemes, but won't give us any money for fundamental things like human needs of toilets. And other question, have there been any prosecutions for vandalism? And if so, why not? I think a severe penalty for destroying community facilities would provide some lessons to people.
Okay, thank you, Simon. I'll get who's again is going to come back on those questions for you, Simon.
The £460,000 is the total net budget. There's income that comes into the budget, so the actual cost of delivering the service is I don't have the figures in front of me. I know it's £600,000. Stand to be corrected, but the 450 is the net budget. The second question about grants, we explore all avenues to get grants to assist us with upgrading facilities. We've been successful, as Gary said, in 2 occasions in Bescoed and in Conway. Facilities are being placed on. We've been innovative in the way that we've sought grant. We sought grant from places as bizarre as Coast Protection to provide 2 toilet facilities on the Cayley Promenade in order to enhance the facilities that we've got. So I think officers have been innovative in sourcing those grants. In terms of vandalism, we report acts of vandalism to the police.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so Councillor Carr online, and then I'm going to come to Tom in the room.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. My perspective on this is that it's not the role of town council. I'm actually a town councillor on Bay of Conway Town Council as well as being a county councillor. It's not the role of town councils to take on the budget cuts of the county council. As Chris Hughes, who's also on the Bay of Conway Town Council, rightly said, we'd have to put our precepts up massively if we were to take on the toilets. I said, because it's a tourist area, we've got Colwyn Bay and we've got Ross-on-Sea. There are a number of toilets. If we were to take them on, then it would be a financial there'd be financial implications. So really, this is a budget cut. So let's be fair about it. And this 460,000, it's a saving. But really, if we're going to keep these toilets open, which I don't know whether this is actually still an option. If so, then we need to find the money from other areas of the council. But I'm a bit annoyed that it's always frontline services that are getting cut. And the public is saying, well, we paid 10% council tax increase last year, 10% council tax increase the year before. The public expect the services to be delivered. And that is the real problem. So, I think it's all well to have sort of a dialogue with local councils like the Bay of Conway Town Council. But really, you can't expect precepts as a town council, with town council hat on, to put the precepts up to, massively to, really. And as Chris Hughes rightly said, we do actually contribute a lot. We contribute to.
Do you have a question, Councillor Carr?
My question is, have we not looked at other areas of the council, the non-essential spending to cut, rather than cutting frontline services? Can't we look at some of the things they do that are very nice, but they're not essential, and the public want frontline services delivered? And that's my question, really. The money should come from somewhere else, not by cutting yet another frontline service. Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll answer that, and just come along to the budget working groups which I know you participate in. Be active on them. And, you know, I will put on record, what is it, in the last 11, 12 years, we've had £82 million taken out of the budget. This is not my report, I'm only chairing the meeting, but that's the scale of the matter. £82 million has been taken out of our budget. And just think what we could do if we had that. But I'm not here to antagonise, so I'm going to go to Tom.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I wanted to start with a question, if that's okay, before making a couple of points based on what my contribution was when this first came to us back in November. So just going to page 186, it says that the net budget for 2024-25 will be 0, but in very small font there's a 3 there, which at the footer says requires toilets to be closed from the 1st of April 2024. So forgive me if I've missed this somewhere else, but what do you mean by that? Which toilets required to be closed? Is it just seasonal closures, or are you talking about closing all toilets? And what do you mean by closed from April 2024? Because we've passed that. So if I could just get an answer to that, and then I'll come back. Thanks.
Get out and I'll answer that for you.
So it's those toilets identified in the schedule at the time. Those that are on page 185.
Right, but those toilets have been open from April until September, so it won't actually be a nil budget by the end of the financial year, will it? Because there'll be months that those toilets have been opened between April and September.
That's absolutely correct. And with every month that we delay the decision, then we are missing the opportunity for a £40,000 saving.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that. I want to touch on a couple of points that have been made throughout this meeting, because I was quite concerned when the strategy first came to us that we could see mission creep if we didn't have financial figures in that report. I was told that that wouldn't happen. I asked about consultation with local members. I was told that that would be the first step of this process, was consultation with local members before any toilets would be closed, before there'd be any look at transferring ownership. To my knowledge, that hasn't happened. It certainly hasn't happened with me, and it hasn't happened, to the best of my knowledge, with my colleagues across Llandudno. So I'm a little concerned that I was told that to my face in this room in November before we started this strategy, and that hasn't happened. And then I just want to touch on the second commitment that was made to my face in this room, was that there was going to be engagement with stakeholders to try and find that money to keep those toilets open. And I accept that there has been some, but in the case of Llandudno, which the cabinet member referred to, we had a meeting about it in January 2025, and we came back 24, sorry, and we asked for more information. We weren't confused on the options, we just asked for more information. So, and we've also had Llanrwst Town Council saying they weren't aware, and Penmaenmawr also now saying that they're not clear because they did respond. So I'm concerned that I was told things in this room that since have not happened, and suddenly we're trying to shift the blame to town councils, when from my point of view, town councils have engaged. We just haven't got those responses back.
Thanks, Tom. I think a lot of what you've said there is going to be discussed tomorrow, to be honest with you. But Geraint, I know the officer Geraint wants to come back on some of that. But you know, I think the whole point of the motion, notice of motion before you tomorrow, is going to be around that. But can I bring Geraint in?
I was simply going to say, Chair, that that is the matter for the motion of tomorrow. However, just to note that the only toilets that have been closed are those that we've had to close. We haven't closed toilets at this point in time.
Quickly, Tom, because I've got quite a number of speakers.
Thanks, Chair. So the reason that I'm raising it here is that it's an update on the strategy. The strategy was brought here in November. I raised those points then. I was given assurances in November on this strategy. We've now got an update in front of us where those assurances haven't been fulfilled. I'm not trying to say that ERF have maliciously closed toilets, but I was told that there was going to be engagement from Llandudno Town Council's point of view. There hasn't been, and we've been waiting since the start of this year. Okay. So to try and say that we don't understand, I think is wrong. We did understand. We made democratic choice as a town council and asked for more information, which we haven't received. So that's why I'm raising it here as a part of the update, because I was given assurances in this room in our November meeting that haven't followed through. Hence why I'm raising it now and not in the notice of motion tomorrow. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Point taken. Yeah. I don't know if you want to come back with anything there, or I think that'll come up tomorrow, won't it? But to be honest with you, save your powder. I've got a lot of time. I'm going to have to move on. I've got so many speakers. I've got Sue, and then I'm going to go to Kathy in the room. So, Councillor Sue online. Can I ask councillors now to start just being brief and to the point with what the questions are regarding this update, please. I'm being too generous. I'll get a kick under the table shortly. But as I say, so I've got Sue online and then Councillor Kathy in the chamber.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak today as I'm not part of your committee. And thank you for the report, Gary. I'm looking at agenda item 315, the community toilet scheme, which is a good scheme, actually. But I'm just wondering approximately how many companies have actually taken up this offer, and how do the public know which companies are part of the scheme, shops, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being precise, Sue. Gary.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Yeah, we at the moment we've three. We have high expectations that will grow. It does take time, as I say. We need to, I suppose, have dialogue with them, give them reassurances what this means to them and their business. It's a private business after all, and everybody runs their business differently. So what suits one might not suit another. The key thing for me and my team, obviously, is to make sure that what they do provide is fit for purpose. And if it's not fit for purpose, then clearly we don't take them on, because it's taxpayers' money. And unfortunately, that is going to be the reality. Some will get on the scheme and others might not. So yeah, it's just a process that we go through like everything else.
Chair, can I just quickly come back on that, just to ask Gary how the public will get to know about these options available to them? Diolch yn fawr.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that bit, didn't I? We do keep records of that on our website. If you wanted to get in touch with me separately afterwards, I can show you the links, and that is on a sort of a interactive map thing as well. So it's quite useful, actually. With sort of looking at other innovative ways. I don't want to sort of spoil it for everyone, but there might be other ways where we can try and make this information more available in the future. But that's still in the sort of very early stages of planning.
Okay, thank you,
Diolch, Gary.
And good luck chairing tomorrow, Sue. Cynhored Kathy.
Thank you, Chair. So I want to make a point that I would make whether or not there was a motion coming tomorrow. So it is really around communication. This update, this consultation, everything we're talking about today, for me, has fallen down again around the communication with members. I don't want to repeat everything that Anne has said. We're both county councillors in Penmaen Mawr. I do happen to also sit on the town council. So I have been party to what has been discussed. We were utterly shocked. It was like the rug was pulled out from under us when we saw the announcement on the CCBC website and had to deal with loads of residents on social media personally saying what is going on here. It was completely unexpected. And I really think, I don't want to be rude. I know officers are under pressure. I totally deplore the cuts that you have mentioned, Mike. But it has been patronising to hear people saying that town councils have not understood what's going on. We absolutely have. We had a really clear letter from Amanda. Penn Town Council answered every single ask. And then everything went quiet and suddenly, boom, toilets are closing. This is not how to communicate with your members who face residents on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. So I go next to, I've got Councillor Keith online, then I'm going to go to Councillor Paul in the chamber.
Diolch, Chair. It's only a quick one. It's
seems to be the elephant in the room, really. Aside from the 82 million in cuts that seem to be directed at Conway County because of closures and budget savings and things like that, there's a broader picture here that we need to be campaigning for less cuts in the precept from Cardiff, because people don't seem to be looking further than the toilet closure as to why they have to happen. I've been having very constructive meetings with Gary in communication, and I thank him for that and this report as well. But also the other bigger picture is that the toilets in Llandullis now are closed anyway due to vandalism. There's no money in the pot to repair the toilets. The community council are looking at coming to a table with Conway with regard to opening them and providing a facility. But when you have vandalism going on, for example, the ones in Penzarn, the doors are £2,000 a pop, or over £2,000 if you look the doors up, because they've got the electronics in the doors. So they have to be them particular doors, and then you get people kicking them in and basically closing the toilets. So straight away, there's a door for £2,000 that's got to be paid for, coming out of the pot that we all have to try and dip into to provide the facility. Nobody ever sees anything regarding the vandalism going on. But when you've got a door for £2,000 that's been fitted for less than 12 hours and then it gets kicked in again, it's absolutely crazy. And this is what is frustrating, that the officers are trying to do their best to keep toilets open. But this is the information that doesn't get fed out to the wider circle, that if people understood that straight away there's two doors for £4,000 on one toilet block. So and the same in Llandudno, again, that we were speaking about, the doors are electromagnetic to close. People wedging the doors open to save the next person having to pay. But the bigger picture is that the electromagnetic closure device is constantly tripping in and out to the point where it eventually burns out. And again, that is another cost coming out of the pot. So I think aside from what we're all trying to get for our wards, I think we need to look at bigger pictures and the vandalism going on and try and either funding for keeping an eye on these or something. But I understand we're all getting slaughtered here because of this, both us as county councillors and officers, because of the closures. But we have to look at the wider picture in the communities on who's vandalising. Why does nobody ever see it? Should there be more police presence or anything like that? You know, I'm disappointed because the ones in Llandullis are already closed. The engagement with the community council, it's only a small community council in Llandullis. So smaller ward, we've got no chance of trying to rebuild a toilet block and things like that. You know? So sorry, I just wanted to put that there, Chair. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Okay, Keith. No, I appreciate that and seeing it from that side, from the vandalism and the costs. I do remember some time ago we were looking at getting more mobile CCTV cameras, and I wonder whether, you know, if we've got a facility that's constantly getting damaged, that maybe that's where we could deploy the mobile CCTV cameras. So I've got four speakers, and I will go to the recommendations after these four speakers. So I've got Paul in the room, Gareth, Liz, and Nigel in that order. So, Councillor Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to speak, because I'm not a member of this committee. My question really is to those members here tonight who voted for that budget for 2024-25 and also voted for this policy. And many of those people that voted for both of those things also participated in the budget working groups. And I would want to put on record my thanks to both Geraint, Gary and Goromwy, because in my consultations, my communications about what was happening in Abergele, Penzarn, Belgrano, they have written endlessly to me. They turned up at a town council meeting. They have engaged in the process. It's been very difficult because in my area, there have been different views about how public toilets should be funded, as you would expect. But the reality is we were clearly told through the process, which I voted for, that this was a very messy and risky strategy. There would be significant consequences. And I and other people voted in that way. And so I respect people who didn't vote in that way, and they are complaining, and that's their right. And I have full respect for their position. But the majority of people on this council voted for that budget, for that policy, and we were fully informed by officers all the way through that this would get seriously uncomfortable as it was implemented. So let's be grateful to the officers. Let us take responsibility, and also remember that we imposed within these departments further cuts and savings as well. So they haven't had the same resources as they did have 12 months even to deal with this problem. So I hope that message goes out tonight, and Keith makes very valid points. But the reality is we have to take responsibility for where we are today and not put it on officers, because we were fully made aware of these potential consequences at the time.
Thank you for letting me speak. Like Paul, I'm not a member of the actual committee. So I've got three hopefully quick questions and one quick comment. The first question is, when and what are the figures showing for the actual monitoring of the foot flow at the toilets? Because I had a message from a constituent who said that they noticed just in Rhos-on-Sea alone, within a 10-minute period, 23 females used the toilet. And, you know, to expect local businesses to deal with that volume of usage is probably unrealistic. The second one is, you know, as a county, have we given up on trying to extend the season, the tourist season, to trying to extend it to make it an all-round destination? And do we just assume that locals don't actually use the toilet? As far as the fundamental strategy is concerned, do we think that that is now flawed when we're actually asking town and community councils to actually fund the toilets? We're moving in it from a large county council to the smaller town and community councils, and they get the money from exactly the same place as we do. They get the money from the taxpayers. There's not a different money tree that they actually get it from. And what's the creep on this? You know, in next year, are we going to be asked to actually look after the prom? Are we going to be asked to sponsor a pothole? You know, town council is going to do that. And, you know, a personal view, I think it's just disingenuous and very cynical for paid leaders of the ruling coalition of Conwy County Council to publicly try and blame unpaid voluntary town councillors for the closure of the toilets, when they actually voted for these cuts. And they're going public and they're trying to blame, as I said, town councillors for the cuts, when the cuts that fundamentally come from the county council. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if there's any, if you picked up any questions there. Perhaps I could get a round of applause when I close this meeting. You never know. Thank you, Gareth. If you picked up anything there that is not, that taken on board what you've said, you know, yeah, you know, we're all council taxpayers, but let's just remind ourselves: 29% of the budget comes from the taxpayer, 70%, 71% comes from Welsh Government. You know, so, you know, we have a cut from the UK government, we have priorities from the Welsh government, and then we're left with what we've got. Again, I'm not cheerleading anything. I have two speakers. Please be brief. Cabinet members, Liz, and then Nigel.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to speak, and I shan't be long. I'm speaking firstly as a county councillor, and one of my communities took up the 10% towards paying towards the toilets, which they have done from following that letter that went out in, is it October 23 or September 23? One of my community councils hadn't heeded my advice, and now they find that one of their toilets will be closing, but now they are panicking. And so, as Gary shared earlier on, that the funding, some funding that's going to come for the Better Accord, small refurb and Conway is coming via SPF. So I am going to look at seeing how we can work with some businesses in one of my communities to get the toilets up and running again and not face the closure that has been put on the cards. But as I say, that was no surprise to me, and the Community Council didn't heed my advice. Now, my ward doesn't cover, I don't get the opportunity of applying for any grant funding from any of the wind farms. So I have to seek funding from wherever I can seek it from, and that I do, along with my community councillor colleagues. Now, in Dolwyn Ellen, as Chris said, it was on the cards way back in 2013 about public toilets. And I shared with Dolwyn Ellen that if they didn't take the toilets on, that they would close at some stage. Now, they were built in the 1960s. Nobody used them very much because they used to freeze up in the winter, so they were closed all through the winter, and they were unsightly. And so in 2017, we decided to take on the public toilets, but then COVID got in the way. But nevertheless, we completed with Steve Teal at the time. And now we have got fully functioning toilets that, fortunately, because we did it at the time we did it at, that we did get the funding and from the local authority who renovated the toilets for us. They are, you might well say, well, so you've only got a small village, but it's 365 people live in the village. The community council precepts for the toilets. Those toilets are on the very busy A470. They are used every day, every day. They almost now need their own car park because so many people stop at those toilets. We were very lucky in getting a person in the community who was willing to take them on, and we pay him to look after the toilets. And I say I'd like to get a TripAdvisor because I think we would get some wonderful comments about the toilets. So it can be done. So I just want to share that with you.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you. I'm going to go to the last speaker, which is Councillor Nigel, and then I will go to the recommendation, which I will be very clear about. Nigel, if you could be brief, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I think we've heard a lot of misinformation here today. I know we've been reviewing toilets, as Councillor Chris rightly said, since 2013. And if councillors have not been aware that they've been under review, I think they must have had their heads buried in the sand. I want to thank Gary Garonwy and particularly Gary for the work with this toilet strategy, which has had to be brought forward because councils have failed to engage over the years. And town councils and community councils are best placed to know which public conveniences, whether they're worth having or not. Town and Kimmel Bay Town Council, we felt that our toilets weren't worth having. And I say that as an elected member in a community that has 55,000 visitor beds. And I say that because we have a whole plethora of private businesses who have publicly accessible toilets. And those businesses give a great facility for our residents, for our visitors. But on top of that, the people who use their conveniences put money into the economy, create employment. Llandudno is no different to town in Kimmel Bay. It has a whole plethora of businesses with accessible toilets.
Do you have a question?
Publics use. And we should remember that.
Okay.
And my question, I don't really have a question. It's a comment. But no, I do have a question. And it's to all the members here. If all the public toilets in the United Kingdom closed, do you think that we wouldn't be able to go to the toilet? I don't think we would.
I don't want to answer that. Where would you go? Okay, I'm gonna no, Gromit. I'm gonna close.
Can I move the recommendation, please?
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I'm gonna do, Gromit. Thank you. So it does help, doesn't it? So basically, I think there's been a fair debate there. I think we'll get the flavour of what the council meeting and the motion is going to go through tomorrow. We do have a recommendation. I want to thank the members of the public for turning up here tonight, because you know you've demonstrated how you feel, and I think that's been taken on board. So thank you very much for coming here tonight, and in particular Grace for speaking. Thank you very much. There is a recommendation which you can find on page 178, paragraph 2.1, and it is that the Economy and Place Overview Scrutiny Committee note, and this is where I'm going to be clear, note that the local toilet strategy is being delivered in accordance with the actions stated in the strategy document. Could I have a proposer for that? I've got a proposer online who's Michael Smith. A seconder, please. Councillor Chris Hughes, is that seconding, Chris?
No, Chair, I want to propose an amendment to the recommendation. That is, I'm happy to propose the recommendation.
Chris, can I just see if we've got a seconder for the recommendation,
okay,
please?
Yeah.
So do we have a member of this committee to second the recommendation? No. Keith, Councillor Keith, thank you, Keith. So we have that. Now, Chris, you want to come in with a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
My amendment is that we happy to accept the recommendation, but with a second point that we, as a committee, express disappointment at the failure of officers to consult with members as per the Constitution and member officer protocol.
I think, Chris, you know that's going to be debated tomorrow. Yeah, but you know you have a right to put that amendment.
That's why I haven't raised it and I haven't debated it in that sense in the meeting, but I do want that to be noted as a matter of public record.
Did you get note of that, Don? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm coming to now. So, Councillor Chris Hughes has made an amendment. Do we have a seconder for that amendment? We got Councillor Emily, Kathy. Were you seconded? Sorry.
Well, what I just wanted to say was we have spoken a lot about what is happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
That shouldn't muddy the water of what people want to say.
Yeah.
In relation to this.
And I've given you every opportunity.
Oh yeah, you have. Thank you so much. And I believe that's what Councillor Chris Hughes is doing.
Okay.
That was my point, because I thought you were going to shut him down.
No, I don't do that, Kathy. You should know that. So we have an amendment from Councillor Chris Hughes, and that's been seconded by Councillor Louise. So I go to the amendment first. So all.
Anybody want to speak on the amendment?
Yeah. Because that's okay. Fine. Is there anybody who wants to speak on that amendment? No. Right. Okay. So we go to the vote on Councillor Chris Hughes' amendment, which has been seconded by Councillor Louise. All those in favour? One. Yeah. Support. Those against that amendment?
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 online. 1, 2, 3 online. 4, 5. So any abstentions?
4 online.
Sorry, that's 6 then. So is there any abstentions?
Any abstentions? 1.
So none online. So the amendment's been lost.
Yeah. So the amendment's lost. So the recommendation.
Chair, first of all, can I just ask you to communicate what the result of the vote was, because it's not clear for those of us online.
Okay,
Six against, 4 in favour, Chair.
Thanks, Matt.
Did you get that?
I did. Thanks very much.
Okay, Councillor Anne. So that goes to the recommendation then, that this report be noted. Can I have a proposer for that?
You've had a proposal secondary.
So just so it's for.
First of all, just to check, are there any further proposed amendments?
Yeah. Okay.
None.
None. Thank you.
You go to the main vote.
So that meant, so we've had a proposer and second. All those in favour that we're noting this. So thank you. Any against? So it's 3, yeah. Any abstentions? Yeah, got you. That's carried. Thank you very much. Again,
can we have the result, Chair? What the result is?
Okay, Anne, it's coming. The results are in.
Thank you.
10 in favour, the rest against.
Thanks.
Okay, so once again, I'm going to go on to the next item. Robin, I do apologise. Councillor Chris, I apologise. Members of the public, you are more than welcome to sit in this. If you were going to leave, I'll just give it 1 minute while you depart. Okay, thank you for your attendance. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. A fair debate. I'm just going to go back to the what was first, Chris. This is to consider a report by the head of regulatory services on the following matter, which is the local energy plan, land review and policy approach for onshore renewables for the replacement local development plan. You can find this item in pages 71 to 176. I'm going to ask Councillor Chris Cater to introduce this as a cabinet member for audit policy and performance, to introduce this item, and then we'll hand over to Chris. Will hand over to Robin. So thank you very much.
Diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd, and noswaith da pawb. This report sets out the proposed framework, including the policy and local search areas to assess onshore wind and solar development in our replacement local development plan. It has already been supported at Strategic Planning Group, and it follows national guidance coming from Future Wales and Planning Policy Wales. The appendices contain 2 evidence papers as part of background paper 60. And you can see, Chair, that specialist viability and technical work has been achieved so that research recommendations can be made. Members should note that this report does not cover specific sites and issues. We have the policy approach to local search areas in front of us this evening. The approach supports the intervention in the local area energy plan, which we adopted in 2021. So that is to increase onshore renewables and provides a clear criteria-based policy to assess relevant schemes when they are submitted. Local energy generation projects and community involvement and ownership will become more important as we move forward. And Chair, I think this has been reinforced this week by the appearance of the Prime Minister and the First Minister on TV. Politically, there is a clear recognition of this being important to us here in Wales. At this point, I'd like to thank Senior Planning Officer Robin Sandham, who's sitting to my left, and the rest of the strategic planning team, which has done so much work on this. So I'd like to hand over to Robin now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Chris.
Thanks, Chair and Councillor Chris. I've got a brief PowerPoint just for a few slides just to go through the methodology approach. Not sure that should be displaying full screen, but it's not. The purpose of the report is just to go through how the replacement LDP takes on board the requirements of Future Wales and the new guidance in PPW edition 12, and just make sure that's integrated into the deposit plan. So Future Wales proposed 2 pre-assessed areas for wind turbine development, not including solar, and they're shown within the reports and on this plan.
Sorry, Robin, can I share my screen? I think my screen might be a little bit bigger for members to see. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Stop you sharing.
Yeah, and then I think then if you could just ask Dawn to move on with the page as we go through that. Yeah, it's just I think just need it enlarging a little bit. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah. So Future Wales has set these 2 areas for onshore wind for developments over 10 megawatts, which are determined by PEDU. So ministers will decide. We can still allow developments less than 10 megawatts within these areas, but we have to go through this process, which we've done through the report. Next slide, please. Yeah, Future Wales says that we can, PPW, sorry, says that we can identify through a constraints exercise local search areas additional to the pre-assessed areas for smaller scale developments. So in the report, it sets out that we've looked at between 1 and 10 megawatt for the local search areas. If you go on to the next slide, please. To do this, we've gone through a constraints-based mapping exercise to apply constraints. We've got the essential constraints at the top of the page. So protected landscapes, habitats, scheduled ancient monuments. And then we've got variable constraints for wind and a few different aspects for solar as well. And that's thrown up different results on the next page with the maps. It's not very clear at this scale, but the pre-assessed areas in Future Wales are shown in green, and then the additional potential for wind has been shown in the hatched area. So it's pretty much contained within the southern area around Cerrig and Clocainog, but it's proposed a potential for future supply in the northern area for wind. The following map is the same for solar. That shows a slightly different area. If you can move on, please. Yeah, slightly different constraints means a slightly larger area because solar development can be sited closer to habitation and built up areas. And then the following map is a combined where wind and solar is potentially supported, and the additional blue hatched area is solar only within those areas. So we've got a policy approach for how we assess the larger developments. Will be a consultee over 10 megawatts. So what we expect for that, what we'd expect between 1 and 10 megawatts, and then anywhere else, because we can't stop anybody putting an application in throughout the area, but we need a policy approach for how we're going to assess it when they do come in. So broadly, it's in line with PPW and Future Wales, and it's not too different to what we've got already. We've got a policy in place at the moment, but this refines it to give us like these local search areas. So hopefully we'll be in a better better position when development does come in.
Thank you for that, Robin. Yeah, I suppose it's all about where they can plug into the grid as well, isn't it? So thank you for that. I'm happy to open the debate. Louise?
This is not my area of expertise, I have to say. Certainly not on the land with wind farms, but this policy is in place, sort of waiting for applications from owners of the private land. So all the areas are privately owned, are on private land. So it's not like we can initiate this strategy or get on and do it, etc.
Apologies, Chair. Can the speaker speak into the
Sorry.
microphone because we can't
Sorry,
hear?
Chris. We're busy tonight. Yeah, my point was that all the land that map shows is privately owned at the moment. So this is just a policy in place. So when applications or if applications come in, then you've got like a basis around it, really. Okay, fine. So that's because obviously the whole debate about farmland or solar power, whatever, but really it's just waiting for private landowners to come in. I get it.
Thank you very much. And I'm getting nods from Cabinet Member and the officer as well. Councillor Chris online, did I see your hand, or was it just to say that you couldn't hear?
I did want to speak on this. I think this is a significant opportunity for us. In the past, we've been done to organisations like RWE coming in and doing huge projects, and I think there's an opportunity here for communities to actually engage in this and potentially do schemes that will benefit those specific communities. I mean, we've heard today how some of our communities struggle for funding, struggle to get grant funding and things like that. And if this is going to happen in some of these areas, maybe it's better that it's local community projects that could deliver that, and then 100% of the profits from that get reinvested back into that community, rather than having a national company coming along and doing this. And I'm conscious that I don't want to promote other organisations, but I'm conscious of the fact that the Centre for Sustainable Energy, based in Bristol, has had significant success in supporting local community energy schemes, which have provided very low cost energy to local communities, and also led to significant contribution to those communities to deliver community regeneration projects, I guess. And I think it's something that perhaps communities might want to consider as an alternative to the large scale projects coming in and doing these things to us, rather, giving us the opportunity to control our own destiny.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And again, just in the chamber, I can see the officer just agreeing with you there, Chris. So thank you for that. Unless, Robin, you wanted to say anything, or
just that the policy would support that. There's a big push for this in the future. The key barrier at the moment is a grid capacity, but there's massive funding going into that. The national grid. We've consulted with SPEN on this report as well, and they're happy with our approach.
Thank you very much. I can't see any other speakers. I am going to go to the recommendations, which you can find on page 71 on A and B, which is to note the findings, policy approach and policy recommendations, and agree that all included in the deposit replacement local development plan. That delegated authority be given to the head of regulatory service in consultation. And I do like it when you put that in consultation with the relevant cabinet member to make minor amendments to the appendices, including site details, once agreed. Could I have a proposer for that, please? I've got loads. Councillor Caffey, Councillor Allen seconding. If you're going to, can you second it? Yeah. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Coming in the room. So that's 14. Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried by 14, Anne. Oh, she's gone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, and safe journey home. It was a tough meeting, I thought, but thank you for all those who have participated. Okay, good night.
Day off, Chair.